Hey everyone, my name's Laura Major and I'm a millennial. Check the side part, the skinny jeans. More importantly though, I'm also a realtor. And even though housing is at the most unaffordable it's ever been, it's still possible to own your own home. And I've got the stories to back it up, starting with my own, so let's check it out. I'm putting this story together for you at my home because this is what these videos are about, real life, real stories. And what I want to emphasize in this particular story is that homeownership is a journey. And in order to get here where I am today, it started 10 years ago in a CRAPTASTIC condo. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But over the years, I've bought 3 properties and now I'm in what I think is my forever home. So what I want to tell you is that if homeownership is important to you, you are going to have to work hard. There's going to be a time commitment involved, but it's possible. So I hope as you follow along, you take something away that you can work with and that you can start building your dream. So my real estate journey started 10 years ago. I was fresh out of college, had just got my first big girl job, and was living in my first roommate-free apartment. One day I was headed to that big girl job and across the hall, a for sale sign. I have no idea what motivated me to pull out my camera and take a picture. Not a clue. But later in the day, I called the number on the sign, and because she's the good realtor that she was, she said, "Of course I'll show you that property." I got home from work and we walked across the hall and into the next unit. Now I'll caveat that and say, the realtor said, "Wow, you're the first person to actually step inside." I want that to give you a sense of how bad this condo was. Dirty, smelly, all of the things. It was bad. But I lived across the hall and I have a dad that's a contractor, and I thought, I know what it could be. I know that I could get it done, so I'm actually kind of interested in this. But I had no idea if I could buy it, right? The next day I called my lender and I told them what I was interested in doing, and they said, fill out an application. Lucky for me at the time, they were running a 0% down program. So I didn't have to have a lot of savings, which is good because I didn't. And they approved my application. My realtor and I wrote an offer and there was a little back and forth, but I ended up getting the CRAPTASTIC condo. A week later, my dad, my mom, my godmother, my best friend showed up and we gutted the thing. I'm talking new drywall, new floors, redo the cabinets, new hardware, primer and paint on every flat surface. This condo was completely new by the time we were done with it, and I loved it. I had no intentions of going anywhere. It was the most perfect 767 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo. It was wonderful. And then, cue my husband. We decided we were getting married, and that meant relocating. So that's how we ended up in Ankeny. 2 years after buying my CRAPTASTIC condo, I sold it and walked away with a check for about $13,000. But we didn't buy a new home right away. We actually rented for a year. That gave us time to actually get married, for me to find a new job, and for us to figure out where in town we wanted to be. By the time we were actually house hunting, it was a good thing our lender was still offering 0% down financing, because one of us had spent nearly all of those proceeds on a wedding. No regrets. I can still remember the day we found our home. We had toured 2 properties. I was in favor of the first. It was well under budget, and it was a 3-bed, 1-bath, mid-century ranch. My husband wanted to push for a more modern 3-bed, 2.5-bathroom home. And ultimately, he won that. He was right. And there it is in recording for everyone to see. And I did end up really loving that house. We spent the next couple of years turning it into exactly what we wanted. I refinished every piece of that 90s yellow oak. We added some new baseboards, a new privacy fence, we replaced the sump pump, and eventually redid the entire primary bathroom. It was, mwah, I loved it. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I had become a realtor. And so one day out on the job, I toured a property that I really loved. I ran home, okay, I drove home, grabbed Matt, came back to the property. He agreed, he loved it too. But we had no idea if we could afford it. Yet again, this was a house that in a price bracket that I never thought that I'd be buying a house in. The next day I called the lender, and the lender said if you can sell the house that you have, you should have enough money to buy the next house. We were looking to need about $70,000, and we made it happen, and that got us here today. So we've covered 10 years in approximately 10 minutes, and I'm standing in front of my forever home. But remember, it started with that first home, and it wasn't great. So if you're in the market for your forever home, it starts with the first step. Give me a call and we'll get you started. And be sure to follow along to hear the stories of other people that have taken their first steps to finding their forever home.